very much. And can I first acknowledge Keith Fagg, the first directly elected Mayor of the City of Greater Geelong. Congratulations, Keith, and we look forward to great area. Can I acknowledge my parliamentary colleagues, Andrew Katos, Simon Ramsey and John Aaron. It's great to have such strong representation of this area, and these fellows certainly do make sure Geelong's heard in the Houses of Parliament. Can I also acknowledge Alan Wellingham for his great history. That was really interesting. I came from Winchelsea myself, so that's nearly to Camperdown. It was great to hear the history of Geelong, which is an area that I associate with so well. And Neil, to hear your history of the missions to Seaman, it's really terrific. And can I acknowledge Frank, for you and your family. I mean, this is, when you stand here, and you said it was a beautiful day, and a beautiful, typical Geelong day, which is absolutely true, and you stand here and you think of this magnificent building that's 100 years old, and it really is a great tribute to the people who've been able to make sure this building is still here. Because we've seen in recent times, in recent decades, I suppose, a complete revitalisation and refurbishment of the waterfront. And one of the great things about it is that wonderful blend of the tradition and the old, such as this beautiful building, and some of the newer buildings. And the use of the Cunningham Pier, the refurbishment of the Eastern Beach pool that I swam in as a child, and the use of the bull stores where Dad used to come and unload wool to use them in part of the university. But this particular building is one of the most beautiful and treasured buildings in the history of Geelong. Frank, to you and your family for your protection and utilisation of the building is terrific, because it's still being utilised in hospitality and servicing of the people. And that's what this building was all about in terms of service to the community. Now, I'm pleased to be here to represent Ted Bailey as Premier, who's invited, but he sent me instead, which I'm very happy about, because, as I say, I feel like coming home here, because I went to school here at Geelong. I love Geelong, it's a great city. And also, as Minister for Regional Cities, I'm passionate about Geelong, and Minister of Ports. So this combines all of those. And racing is relevant, because I'm going to the Geelong Greyhound Cup tonight, so if anyone wants to cope with that. But it's interesting as Minister of Ports, and the work that's being done by the missions to seamen around Victoria and around Australia is just fabulous. The port here, and you look out the window, it has had a record year. We shouldn't forget that. We've had 16 million tonnes through the port. It is the record throughput through the Port of Geelong. At the same time, we have a record throughput through Melbourne and Portland. And most of that is exports, which is really terrific for our economy. But it means that the missions to seamen are busy, and it means that the economy is vibrant. It's interesting, the other connection that I have with this 100th celebration is that when you see the photo here, the opening was done by the then Premier of Victoria, Jack Murray, who was the 23rd Premier of Victoria. Now, Jack Murray was a colourful character. He was born in Koroit in Western Victoria and proudly represented Warrnambool, which I proudly represent now. He was in Parliament for 32 years, but history reports, and I'll quote, "In his early days, his indulgence in alcohol threatened his career. However, he overcame that issue to become an advocate of temperance." And that fairly well covers what this Sailors' Rest is about. It covers all that sort of hospitality, from those who have an issue with perhaps enjoying themselves too much, to those who've converted to temperance. And this covers all the spectrum, but it still provides enormous hospitality. And I think that this is a terrific celebration. Geelong is a great city. This is a great building in a great city, and it's on a great waterfront. And can I say, 100 years of recognition and celebration of service of this beautiful building to the people of Geelong, the broader port community, and the ongoing hospitality it will provide, I think is one of the things that we ought to celebrate. So congratulations to all involved, and we wish this wonderful building all the very best for the next 100 years, and we'll all be back in 100 years' time to join in the next round of celebrations.
We will.
Well, thank you very much, Denis, for those words. And I don't know about 100 years' time when we'll all be back. We'll all be here next year. And next year's the odd year. That's when the cats are ferocious. I don't know what might happen in 2013. But look, thank you everybody for coming and helping to make this occasion a special one. I think it's been terribly interesting to hear the speakers that we've heard from this afternoon and understand what happened to make Geelong the city it has become over all this time. And we're on the cusp, I think, of doing something special. I know we're putting it all on your shoulders, Keith. However, I think Geelong is well placed to go forward right now. There's some good things happening. Denis mentioned the port and had a record year this year. And
to say three simple things. As Mayor, I'm very humbled to stand in front of you as your newly elected Mayor, and I'm honoured, and I understand the responsibility that goes with that. It was wonderful to hear the Fagg family connection with this place. My grandmother was actually an opera singer, and I'm not sure if she may have sang at the opening, but it was a long connection. I'd like to think maybe there might be some Fagg's timber in the roof somewhere that's just holding this up. It's still standing because it lasted a long time. Nothing rust out. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I just want to reiterate Frank's comments about Geelong being to borrow a phrase from an earlier era, on the move. I think we're about, I agree with, we're on the cusp, we're on the move, we're about to start some forward thinking about the long term. The vision involved with the people who set this up 100 years ago, they wouldn't have an idea how it's actually developed. But they had an idea in mind that it could be something very good. And we're doing the same thing, I think, from now. We want to look to the future. Not quite sure what it might look like in 15, 20, 50 years' time, but we're looking for something good. And the things we can do in the next 4, 10 years will determine the next phase of our history. So I'm looking forward to that very much, that responsibility. The third very important thing I think we need to do, and I'm very pleased with this as Mayor, and on your behalf, is to really pay tribute to Frank and the Costa family for what they've done. Not only here in this wonderful building, it's a great example of a restoration and an active use of a very old and a wonderful building, but more fully for their contribution to the overall Geelong community. I don't know whether anybody's actually begun to unpack what that actually means. And I hope somewhere, sometime someone actually begins to understand the full extent of what the Costa family have done in our community in many ways. We see their names on a few of the iconic buildings around Geelong, certainly aged care and Costa Hall, etc. But there are many, many other more things that are done, that have been done. Probably many things we don't actually know about. I guess that's true. And I'd like to think that some historian sometime soon will actually put that together and actually begin to understand the extent that the Costa family's involvement in Geelong has meant to our community. So on behalf of the city, I would, and myself personally, to the city as a whole, I'd just like to take this opportunity, and I'm sorry I jumped on that for that, just pay tribute to Frank and the whole Costa family, Robert, and all those, there are a number of daughters here, which is fantastic, and all those involved, for your contribution to Geelong in a broader sense. So thank you very much, and good afternoon.
I just think we can all relax now. You don't have to go, you can stay and have a few drinks and a chat and what have you. Just take your time and enjoy everybody else's company. Thank you very much.
Did you do that? Well, you're a clever man, aren't you? Is that building?